right. Good afternoon, everybody. And Brian, I want to thank you for being here today.
In terms of thinking about the economy, let's start with consumers because it's sort of what we do. So we monitor the data pretty carefully, and so what they're doing today is spending about 4.5% more money in the month of September through the 25th than they spent last September.
Inflation has gotten under control because it's the wage price spiral that people worry about.
The Fed's tough fight is they're fighting this unbelievable force, which is the U.S. consumer. So when I'm talking about the spending, that's $4 trillion of activity by our customers a year. So it's not a small sample, $300+ billion a month. The Fed has to slow that down because if that keeps going, they can't slow the economy down. So the reality is you have strong employment. I mean, we used to think of 4.5% as being full employment. We're sitting, in the mid threes to upper threes, and not many people projecting it to go up a lot faster, into the fours or the low fours. Very few people get it to 5%. So that's one thing. So people employed and people working. So the Fed's got to fight that. They're winning the fight right now. By their own admission, and this isn't being critical, they knew that they came late. They caught up fast, but now they got the equal and opposite problems. They got to be careful they don't go too far because you can break the spirits and then we'll go off the cliff. So if you're trying to engineer a soft landing, which people have, or something close to that, in balance, when you look in the current data, they've won against the American consumer. The activity has slowed down, and now it's going to have to work through the system. And that's why the rates will have to probably stay up longer. That leads our economists, that data plus all the other data they have access to basically say, we won't have a recession, which is different because 6 months ago, they thought we'd have a recession in the first part of next year. Originally, 12 months ago, it was in the latter part of this year. They've now said no recession, and they pushed out the trough in the economy to the second, third quarter next year, going about 0.5% annualized in those quarters, with the first rate cuts coming mid next year. Those cuts coming relatively slowly, given the nominal rate curve, and really inflation going, basically from where it is today in the mid to high threes to more of the two, just over 2, but all the way down to 25. So it's a slow grind out, but they've won the near-term battle.
You guys thought that there was potentially going to be a recession at the end of this year. You pushed it out, and now you're saying no recession, or we're going to see a downturn sometime in 2024.
Yes, our strategies are no recession, very slow growth, 0.5% annualized GDP growth, second and third quarter. So it slows down, troughs, and starts coming back out, gets back up to above 1% at the end of next year, i.e. 24, and then finally gets back to 2% at the end of 25. So this is a low thing.
Gradual. So would you call that a soft landing? Or
that's a soft landing by definition, because it's not.
It's not actually.
Now, the interesting thing is what caused them to change that. It was the consumer early on. What happened, if you're in the, 22 fall, heading into in a rate structure and all that stuff, and they're going to push it in, they have to. It's the only way to correct it. The consumer kept going. What's changed now is the consumer slowed down. So that means you've got to now have more risk that you could push the other way. But it pushed it out because the activity of the consumer stayed so strong. That was the surprise of the system, was the consumer stayed strong.